America is facing an energy crisis. Mass electrification, manufacturing, and the rise of AI are creating an urgent need to increase energy production, while our priorities on how we should meet demand are rapidly shifting.
Today, I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
But there's a problem. Energy demand is rising, and our grid can't keep up.
The grid is failing right now. Every step that we take, we've got to get right.
What if, instead of expanding and patching up our existing grid, we produced and stored energy in the places where it's needed? That's the idea being pursued at Torus, a startup that won Time Magazine's Best Invention of 2024 for their Flywheel battery. It's part of a system that could power a data center, or even an entire neighborhood. We went into the field to learn more about Torus's technology and approach to tackling the energy crisis before it's too late. As the CEO of Abundance, I spend a lot of time talking with founders.
How are you?
Holy cow. Great to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I met Nate in 2024. An inventor and serial entrepreneur, Nate has built and sold multi-million-dollar companies in the medtech space.
All right, Jer, can you and I catch up for a minute?
For his latest venture, he's thinking big about the problems with our aging but wondrous electricity infrastructure.
If you think about the last 100 years, the invention of the electrical grid, it's the greatest machine that's ever been invented.
The US power grid is made up of 200,000 miles of transmission and 5.5 million miles of distribution wires.
So if you think about what powers the grid today, think about a coal plant or a CNG plant, a nuclear reactor. Those all use motor generators. That is something that you can count on all day, every day.
By comparison, renewable energy sources, which have energy output tied to weather patterns, are still unpredictable. So are any number of grid failures. Anything from a car hitting a pole to a wildfire. And as we continue to build data centers and use more energy to power new technologies, we're faced with unstable electricity supply and demand that the grid wasn't built to handle. Nate wants to fix that. Torus has been developing battery technology that can support fluctuations on the grid and quickly expand capacity to meet rising demand.
Do you have safety glasses? You can grab those pair if you want.
I'll kind of give you the lay of the land.
So what is this?
So this is our battery energy storage unit. We basically pour a concrete pad, hook it up to a building, and then commission it in our app, and you're ready to go. I mean, it is literally plug and play. This is like the crown jewel, which is Flywheel energy storage.
A lot of the stationary energy storage that supports the grid today is batteries. So what is a battery? A battery is basically a chemical reaction. Every time I have a chemical reaction, there's some wear and tear on that battery. So there's finite life to that. So this is the Flywheel. This is actually one of our very first prototype flywheels that we built here. This is essentially a battery, but it's a kinetic battery instead of a chemical battery.
Here's how it works. When electricity is available, it's used to power an electric motor, which spins a heavy disk, turning the electricity into kinetic energy. That energy is stored in the momentum of the disk. When electricity is needed later, that heavy spinning disk is used to turn a generator, which then discharges electricity. Unlike conventional batteries, flywheels don't rely on repeated chemical reactions, and they can be built with fewer rare earth metals. But above all, they're really good at charging and discharging energy quickly.
At full power, like how fast can it charge my Tesla? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so your typical home charger is probably anywhere between 7 and 10 kilowatts of power. This can do 210 kilowatts, so it's about 20 times faster than a home charger.
Torus pairs its flywheel with a conventional battery to offer the best of both worlds, something that can charge and discharge quickly and store energy for long periods of time. Combined with a generation source, these form a sort of mini power plant that commercial and residential developments alike could use to store and manage electricity. Things start to get really interesting when you imagine a network of these mini power plants working together.
You know, we're doing some pretty crazy stuff with artificial intelligence. We are picking up 1 million data points per Torus station per day. Everything is managed through this kind of heads-up display through our product called Lasso.
This is the secret sauce.
Yeah, all of those systems can benefit each other and then share their excess generation. The net benefit is, yes, you reduce CO2 emission, but honestly, we keep rates lower. The vision's big. I think about Torus neighborhoods as like one of the first concepts. And then any commercial building and data center all has Torus installed on that. And every single one of those assets are all talking to each other like a power plant.
Can we do this tomorrow? Like,
No.
what has to change to get us to a point where we can make that vision a reality?
The biggest gotcha right now is permit reform. It's like, we're good in Saratoga Springs, but then when we hit Eagle Mountain, we're in a different city, and then we have to wait a couple more months. If the product is all the same, it meets a national grid standard, why would we have to go through this laborious, lengthy permitting process? But a lot of it is just getting people on the same page.
With any new technology, there's education that has to go with it. You know, it's what EVs were 10 years ago. But when we bring those partners in, allow them to kind of have this experience right here, all those worries go away.
Taurus is manufacturing their first production units and has commercial customers in the Utah area lined up for installations once they get through the permitting process.
At some point, you're gonna produce enough to sell outside of Utah.
I mean, the applications of what we're doing is infinite. It's not just a Utah thing, it's not just a US thing.
Where do we want to be 100 years from now? We need to anchor ourselves to what that growth curve looks like. I mean, it's 1,000x growth.
Taurus has set the ambitious goal of scaling up its manufacturing to produce 1 gigawatt of energy storage per quarter by 2027, enough capacity each year to power over 3 million homes. It's still a fraction of projected demand, but it would push the industry forward.
I mean, the backbone of society is energy. And I want an abundance for my kids. And so we ask ourselves every day, like, are we building something that will last? Not 10 years, not 5 years, that will last hundreds of years.
Like Nate, I'm also a dad. And I think now more than ever, we need to articulate a positive, clear idea of what our future can look like. With Taurus, Nate's looking at the challenges we're going to face in energy production and storage and saying, we're going to rise to the occasion.
I am an eternal optimist. It is time to build, and it is time to build like we have never built before.